Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric, this being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Blindspot. I'm talking about the second episode that aired. A great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode. So let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we open with Kurt finally being able to hug Bethany after all this time, and it's just like, it's going to be solved soon enough, but it's like, hey, okay, so this is how this whole thing is going to work out. Fact of the matter is there's going to be an interim director coming in, and obviously we still got this whole Ivy situation Madeline's dealt with. So it's a thing of like, we need to work together to kind of take this whole, situation down, because basically the plan is like, maybe this intern director will give us back our positions, reinstate us and everything. And then we get to the conversation that's been set up this entire season that Rich finally brings it up. Everyone is like, are we sure we're going to be able to do that? It's like, because Rich is basically like, you're hopeful that everything is going to work out in the end, but what if it doesn't? And that's the big thing, like, because he's like, after everything that's going down, we're not going to be able to just go back to our lives the way they were before. So he's saying that Boston set some stuff up, but they're like, no, we're not going to run anymore. He's like, I just got back with my daughter. I'm not going to leave her behind. Jane's like, there's no more running. Like, we started this whole thing with Ivy, so we're going to be the ones, this whole Dabrazon situation with Madeline and everything, we started it, we're going to be the ones to finish it. So everyone else is on board, and Rich is like, no, I get it, because he was even saying like, before anyone gives like another heroic speech or anything, let me interject here. But it's like, no, I get it. So I should call Boston back and say we're not going. And it led to an interesting conversation between him and Boston. He's like, fine. Boston's like, I expect that from the others, but he's like, come on, I've risked so much. I worked sending those tattoos and everything, got you out of a black site and everything. Like, the fact of the matter is I snuck into the FBI to save you and everything. The fact of the matter is I did all that for you. I'm not going to do it again, because you staying behind. It's like, yeah, that's on them. They're the heroes and stuff like, but like you and me, we never stick around to do like, try to do the right thing in that regard. Like, this is us. We're all, it's always about self-preservation for him. And obviously for Rich, it's like, yeah, that is how they've always been, but like, maybe now's the time to like make a change, especially because Rich isn't necessarily the same self-preserved type of guy that he's always been. Yeah, he has little hints and quirks about him that still like lend itself to that Rich. But, this is who he's been for a while. He is a good guy, so he wants to stay behind and do the right thing. And even Boston's like, I'm not going to help you out again. So it's like, this is goodbye, isn't it? And he's like, is that what you really want? And Rich doesn't say anything, because he's caught between, like, obviously he loves Boston. So it's like that, but also like this group, these are his friends, this is his family. Like, who am I to bail on them after everything we've been through? Like, he just thought they just thought they lost Patterson and they got her back. So it's like, how can I bail now? So obviously, it turns into that whole, interesting situation. The actress who plays the new intern director, I was like, it's so interesting. Where have I seen you in recently? I was like, right, you were in Lincoln Rhyme, The Hunt for the Bone Collector. Obviously NBC connection. I just thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, yeah, because I've seen her from time to time in other stuff, but I was like, well, it's the most recent thing I've seen you in, and I think that was it. But regardless. So it's a situation of like, the team, going off to try and track down Ivy, because they're trying to figure out who the hacker is. The moment they brought up, like, she must have some hacker on her side with everything, I was like, is it who I think it is? And lo and behold, we hard cut to Ivy talking to Kathy. I'm like, Kathy, our favorite crazy hacker. And it's just like, and then she's like, oh, I'm up for some chaos. So she's like, oh, where's Shirley? Shirley's dead. It's like, oh, that's a shame. She's like, I actually really liked him. Oh, well, all right, let's get down to business. She's like, oh, you want your zip and everything? She's like, all right, this is going to be a plan. So it's like, all right, so they're going to try and do everything they can to track down Kathy. Well, it turns out Kathy just walks in the front door because she's like, oh yeah, she turned herself into the FBI. And then you had this whole conversation between, and I'm glad the episode ended up being this, because I was hoping it was going to be this the way the episode was, but it's like, it ended up being like, because it reminds me a little, I want to say it was last season, I could be mistaken, but remember there was that episode that the entire episode mainly took place the perspective of inside the FBI. It was like a Patterson and Rich episode, and I loved it. I was like, oh my God, this is so damn good. This is so funny. It's so good. And like every once in a while, like through like the phone and videos, you get to see what the team in the field was doing, like, but it was mainly from inside the FBI. Like, we got the tech side of things, like the support, we got 100% their side of the episode. So I was thinking this was going to be kind of similar to that, and it kind of was for the most part, but oh, Kathy, like they're reunited and everything, because like Rich and Patterson are, we're going to go in there, we're not going to fall for her mind games. They go in there and she kind of lays things out plainly. It's like, oh yeah, like I think Shirley's dead. It's like, yeah, we know he's dead. It's like, also like Ivy killed him, so that means she'd most likely kill me. Makes me not as willing and wanting to work with her. So, and it kind of catches all of them off guard, especially Rich, because Rich is like, wait, what? He's almost like, what's going on here? So she's like, basically, it's like, oh, I want the Rich.com deal. I want to work with the FBI. And they're like, wait, what? He's like, no. My deal is me specifically. It's kind of something allocated just for me, but like, she's willing to help them, but obviously Rich keeps bringing it up. No, we can't trust Kathy. The rest of the team is like, no, we can't trust Kathy. But Patterson's the one that's kind of willing to give her a chance, because it's like everyone else, we're asking the intern director, we're asking her to give us a second chance. Like, why won't we give it to Kathy? Because even Rich is like, I completely agree with the team, because he's like, look at what happened. It took 3 times for me to get to where I am, because I tricked you guys to help me. This instant, tricked you into helping me. This instance, tricked you into helping me. Third, he's like, actually, I'm gonna save that for another day, because he's like, I still can't be trusted. You sure as hell can't trust Kathy. But Patterson's still willing to give her a chance and everything. And he's like, all right, how about we just say that we can't give her, that we don't tell her, we can't get her to do it. You're saying, so lie to her. It's like, and Jane is like, I don't think we should lie to her. It's like, not lie to her, just kind of say some false truths, you know? And he goes in there, it's like, she's like, oh, is my deal all set? He's like, you're all set. She's like, you are literally not saying that my deal is all, you're not saying that I got the plea deal, because you're walking around those words. And, you know, he's like, nope, I don't know what you're talking about. And so she's about to leave, but Patterson, and I love her being like, okay, how does the door open? It's just like, I love that no one's ever, like, this is the 5th season. No one's ever brought attention to that. And she's like, how does the door open? Door. And it's like, that's so weird. Because once again, it's Kathy. Kathy is all kinds of crazy, you know? Because even Rich was like, she doesn't need anything on her, because like the deadliness is her brain. But the fact is, it's like, did you think you just get in here and leave? And I love that being an aspect of the episode, because you're constantly being like, is Kathy playing him? Kathy's got to be playing him, because of the conversation she had with Ivy. But she came up front about a lot of those conversations, and I'm like, is this the long game? Is she playing the long game here? I wasn't 100% sure in that regard, but I wasn't 100% sure like what to kind of make of the whole situation. So when it was all said and done, they're just like the back and forth and stuff like that. And like even the weirdness of her wanting to be an FBI agent. It's like, oh, I want to see your lab. And he's like, no, you don't get to go into the lab. But like Patterson's like, yes, we're all working together and everything. And she's so happy. She's like so giddy. She's like, oh my God. And she's even talking about, oh, the light, but the lighting in here, like the blue lighting and stuff like that, which I'm like, that's so interesting. Like that's just been a staple of the show that they've just, I don't think they've ever explained why that room, I mean, maybe it has something to do with the computers and stuff like that, with having to stare at screens all day. Because I do know, like, obviously, like the blue, like the way your eyes filter light, there's like blue, there's a thing with blue. I've seen a particular glasses product, I won't say by name because, that's kind of had commercials talking about that. So I was like, oh, now in retrospect, now knowing that, I'm like, maybe that's what that is. But it's just that they've never mentioned that before. Like, I just thought it was kind of neat that she brought it up. But it's like Rich is up there walling her in, and it's like, he's like, no, I'm not. She's like, yes, you are. He's like, no, I'm not. Okay, yes, I am. The fact of the matter is, you're going to give her access to everything. It's like, we're on the same side. And then just like Kathy really getting into it. And then she's like talking about, oh yeah, imagine this is my little back digital door, and I'm reaching in my digital purse, pulling out my digital key. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to stop by the digital mailbox first. And it's like, Kathy, she's like, sorry. And open the digital door. Now, wait a minute. Someone's cracked its eyes right open. Who's been in my cute little digital door? And it turns out it was Boston, because Ivy got to him, because I guess Ivy knew what Kathy was up to. But then he's like, J'accuse. And she's like, J'accuse you. And it's just like the back and forth between them. But then it turns out it's Boston. And she's like, hey, that's okay, because that means as long as he doesn't give her what she wants, he'll live. Well, and if he doesn't give her what she wants, he'll die. As long as he doesn't, if he gives her till she gets what she wants, she's not going to kill him. Well, if she doesn't get what she wants, then she'll kill him. So it's kind of, so I just thought that was like just Kathy's whole perspective on the whole situation. So they're trying to track down Boston. Boston's trying to be coy, and once again, you gotta love Boston because he's so goddamn sassy and snarky. You're like, oh, you have such like snarky little comments, and I love it. He's like, okay, the whole gun in my face is very gauche because like you're not gonna actually shoot me because you need me, and it's like Ivy kind of has nothing to it, kind of like, whoa, shit, and it's like, all right, oh, but then it's going to go to the whole cutting off fingers thing. He's like, oh, no, my index finger, come on, it's the only one I need. She's like, all right, fine, pick a finger. He's like, you're not, and clip, there goes his pinky. they get to the feed and everything. It's like, oh my god, he's still alive. Oh, granted, he's bleeding and everything. That sucks. But hey, at least that means she's not killing him. Like, that means that he's still gonna have enough fingers. And she, her specific words like, now that he has 9 fingers, it's gonna slow him down. And he's like, what is wrong with you? It's like, because of the blood on the camera is now like using more juice or whatever, something like that. So, and she's like, see, another bone. And he's like, come on, lady, what is wrong with you? I forgot what she says. She says something later on that really made Rich go, Kathy, come on now. Because she's so ridiculous. This is such a great penultimate episode because like I love that this trio together. I love this. I was like, oh, this is so good. So they have to get in the van and with Kathy, because basically they're going to try to use the mic as a means of like, if we can triangulate where, make noise so that we can all triangulate where he is, because using the mic from his computer to kind of pick up where the noise is, it kind of gives him a rough estimate of where he is. So that's the whole thing. So when it's all said and done, I love like Patterson's driving and they're both back there bickering, talking over each other. It's like right or left, and they're both like left. It's like, all right, we're 5 minutes away, 300 seconds away. Rich turns to her, he's like, seconds? Why are you using seconds and just saying minutes? Nevertheless, they all get there in time. Boston's still alive, but he's on top of a bomb, and it's like, all right, if we shift any weight, we go boom. I also love, once again, him being sarcastic, because like, it's like, wait, because Tasha's like, oh, you opened the file? He's like, no, actually I didn't, because I'm not really good at it. Of course I opened the file. It's like, but I got backdoor access till I've got a way into like Madeline's files and stuff like that, if you want to see in where they were and everything. And he's like, Kurt's like, Patterson, she's like, I'm already on it. Oh my god. And then like Kathy being snide, being like, that's actually really smart. He's like, actually? He's like, first of all, who are you? And she's like, I'm FBI agent Kathy. They're just like, whoa. She's like, wait. At first, I love that him being like, wait, you're Kathy? And then just finding out that this is Boston and everything. And I love the whole back and forth where it's like, whoa, wait a minute. He stole paintings and he got a deal. I'm literally stopping a terrorist plot and mine is still in a maybe file. I just love the back and forth. It's like, wait, why are you handcuffed together? It's a long story. I love that. It's so good. But then I love the whole situation of obviously like him not wanting any of them to die, because he's like, you know what? He starts saying like, I don't even love you, Rich. Now get out of here. I don't like you. Get out of here. And it's like, oh, because I was like, I felt like I vaguely knew. I knew, obviously, you know what he was doing. And Rich is like, I know what you're doing. Like, we've all seen like Harry and the Henderson, and he's like, White Fang. And he's like, excuse me, no. Rich is like, Harry and the Hendersons came out this time. Wolf Fang came out this time. And he's like, no, the book. And Rich is like, they turned White Fang into a book. And then Boston kind of tearing up a little bit, like, I'm gonna miss these arguments of ours. And the fact of the matter is, I love him being like, he's like, Patterson's like, don't worry, we're all gonna make it out of this. And I love him being like, honestly, I always thought we'd kind of all get together, all of us, that we'd be like some very good looking modern family. And he's like, I love you. I'm sorry all the stuff I said. I love you, Rich. I also love you too, Patterson. And Kathy, you're here too. I love that. And she's like, I am. So, but then it becomes a thing of like, all right, Kathy's like, all right, I know how to diffuse this situation, but I need to be the one on top of the plate. So you need to get up. It's like, all we have to do is fluctuate the weight. So how big are you? And he's like, well, I'm 175. And, he said 170 something. And then, I love Rich being like, no, you're not. Why are you lying in this situation? He's like, I'm sorry. It's a reflex. I can't help myself. And he says another number. And then he says another number. I'm like, Boston, you piece of shit. We're trying to save you right now, and you're lying about something you shouldn't be lying about. This is literally the worst situation to be lying about. Your weight. And I love it's just like Kathy's willing to make the, she's like, all right, like, let's fluctuate the weight. Just put the vest on me and everything, and we'll add some plates and stuff like that. It's like, okay, literally the last second, she's reaching out her hand. He's about to take it. He's like, I'm 185, sorry. And she's like, are you serious? I'm like, you piece of shit. She was literally seconds from getting on this plate, and you're like, honestly, I lied. And it's like, oh my God. Because I was like, because at first he even said it earlier. He was like, okay, when he gave what he was saying at the time was the right number, he was like, oh, that actually felt good and kind of tell the truth. And it turns out you were even lying then. It's like your lies compounded upon lies. This is not the situation to lie about. 4 people's lives are at stake, your own included. It's just like, I love that. It's like, but I guess it's like when you're kind of just, I mean, I get it. It's embarrassing and stuff like that, especially because Kathy wanted to make you feel bad about it because she was like, oh, I'm a couple pounds lighter than what's on file, kind of being smug about it. But she gets up there, it's like, okay, so how you handle it? She's like, actually, I lied. And she's like, I'm willing to make a sacrifice. Because she's like, you guys, like, the fact of the matter is, like, I've done a lot of stuff. She's like, I've always been on the internet making internet friends. But obviously, the internet can be a dark place. And so that kind of pushed me to kind of do my darker things. And it's just like, you guys are kind of like the best friends. And then she stops, best friend, because she knows the only person that was really her best friend was Patterson to a certain extent. I even love that whole thing when it's just kind of worried, like, I forgot completely when she threw the whole thing of, like, because it's like, oh yeah, you know, she's like, I completely understand what you're going through, Rich. I know what it's like to have the person you care about and love dear killed by dear friends, and kind of looks at him, and there's just kind of this awkward silence, and she hugs him, kind of leans on him. I'm like, Kathy, you are a hot mess, and I love it. And so it's a situation of like, all right, she's like, you go on, get out of here, I don't like any of you. And then I'm like, is Kathy playing them? Is this what it's going to be? And they get ready for the explosion, nothing happens. I was like, she played you. And they go back, and it's like, and I love the first thing out of Rich's mouth, I knew it. And then on the drive there, Patterson was like, don't even say anything. What are you talking about? Just don't say anything. He's like, I wasn't going to say anything. She's like, well, you were thinking about saying something. She was like, I was thinking, the fact is that you were thinking about saying something. He was like, no. And so obviously this kind of screwed the pooch on everything. And I even love all this back and forth is happening. And she ends up calling him. She's like, yeah, sorry, I couldn't go to jail. It's like, what about being part of the team and everything? She's like, oh yeah, like, if the corrupt FBI wasn't willing to give me a shot, no way this new interim director is going to give me a shot either. The fact of the matter is, and she's like, I know this might be a little rough to say, but you guys believing that you'll get your old jobs back and everything reinstated, you're kind of delusional. And even Patterson was like, because it's like, you of all people calling us delusional? But that kind of got them thinking, and they're looking at each other, because it's like, you know, if Kathy's calling us delusional, maybe that's kind of a thing of like, whoa, when crazy is calling you crazy, maybe you need to take a step back and go like, maybe I'm a little crazy. And that was making them think like, maybe this isn't all going to work. And Boston's like, you know, you could drop me off over there. I'm like, So now the interim director shows up, and she tells a friend, oh yeah, they're not allowed to be out there. Tell them to back down. It's like, we're trying to stop the zip that's going to get pumped everywhere, make people lose their memories, like Wise. But it'd be fair, I think it's a thing of like, hey, Madeline's bad, but we have to confirm a lot of that stuff that was published, because the FBI is under a lot of scrutiny. This particular branch of the FBI has been severely under scrutiny for the entire show. Once again, like, just forever revolving door of corruption and conspiracies coming out of this. So it's a thing of her probably being like, we also got to make sure you guys were criminals, because it was even something Kurt had said earlier too, like, I mean, the fact of the matter is, will it all work out? Because, yeah, we might not have done all the stuff Madeline said we did, but we did a lot of shady shit to get to, you know, where we are right now. So it's like, you know, because it was just kind of like almost like a, well, everything's going to work out. It has to, like, they were being, like I said, very, like, hopeful and optimistic about it. But it's like, it's because they never knew exactly how this interim director was going to sway. And now it's like, in this situation, she's like, because even, like, you know, he's like, you know, we do this. Like, it kind of screws in, like, at least if we go back now, we can be in her good graces. But the fact of the matter is, it's like, by doing that, we're giving Ivy an upper hand in all this. So what are we going to do? And, you know, Jane and Tasha were all about, no, we need to stop Ivy, you know, come hell or high water type of thing. So it's like, a friend, pretend like you couldn't get in contact with us. Let's do this. Actually, I should have brought this up at the beginning too. I do apologize, but I thought it was kind of, it's sad because like the entire branch of the FBI was with them, because like at the beginning it's like, I know there's been a lot of confusion. You're not taking orders from us. I just like, we want to work with you to get this done. And when the guy just sets forward, he's like, all right, let's get to work. And I was like, oh, that's kind of Kurt's line that you kind of stole there, but I guess that's kind of the point. But still, so all that's going down. They track down Ivy. She's got it prepared. Jane ends up in the room with the zip, and I was like, wait, don't tell me it's going to, and it goes off, so she locks the room so it can't escape. And she's, you know, telling Kurt, like, she loves him, and he loves her too, and it's just like, that's, I was like, are we about to do this? You know, it's going to be a weird comparison to make, not necessarily weird, and kind of spoilers. If you have never seen the show Chuck, do not listen to this. It's kind of similar to what happened in Chuck to a certain extent. What was Yvonne's what was her character's name? Character's name was Sarah. Wasn't it like Sarah Walker? Wasn't it? Wasn't her character named Sarah? It's been years since I've seen Chuck. I still need to go back and rewatch Chuck. I really like Chuck. But because spoilers, she kind of got her memories wiped in this series near the end. So, and now it's like, because Jane hasn't been zipped since her original time being zipped, and obviously, like, your memories come back. I wonder, is her situation gonna be a little different? Because let's not forget, she has like a shit ton of memories. Because let's not forget, because of last season, she is both her and so all her memories as Remy, which include her memories as Alice. So she is Alice. So, maybe. I mean, I'm sure it'd work on your obviously, like, sucking in a big enough dose. But to be fair, like, not unless Jane has some, like, because once again, we haven't seen her get zipped since she got initially zipped. So the fact is that she had an entire system full of zip. She might actually have an immunity to her. Like, her body might have built up an immunity over these years to it because she's had it flowing in her body the entire time. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe, maybe not. You're hopeful, because that would suck ass if it's like, she's like, oh, hey. And that'd be sad because it's like even more so because but you could almost make it like very like coming full circle, because her being pulled out of that bag, first person to really kind of connect with her was Kurt, because obviously she had Kurt's name on her back. But still, that might be the angle they're going down. Maybe, I don't know. I'm sure that was only one canister. I'm sure that wasn't all the zip. It's probably just like a test run. The rest of it's still out there because Ivy's still out there. But still, it's just kind of like so how are we going to play this out? Because let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't catch the previews, but like I said, there's only 11 episodes, and next week's episode is 11, so this is going to be the series finale. It's crazy. It feels like the series just came to an end so quickly, I mean, once again, it's just always the final season being short, but also it's just because they doubled on episodes, so it's coming even quicker now, but it's like, it's crazy to think that this all comes down to next episode. I'm so excited to see how this ultimately all ends, how this all ends up playing out, like where Jane's story is going to end, like what once again, not just that, not just stopping Ivy, like what is their future, what are they going to do? Like, once again, you see, Patterson and Rich kind of have that conversation, and obviously that's been the conversation all the entire season, like maybe things aren't going to work out the way we think, so what's next for them? We'll ultimately have to wait and see what's in store for us in the series finale. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and good